Imagine this. One man, no army, no kingdom, no throne. Yet for decades, governments, military officers, journalists, and world leaders would know his name. Some called him a freedom fighter. Others called him a rebel. To many Nagas, he became one of the most influential political leaders in their history. To others, he remains one of the most controversial. Very few people have shaped the political history of Nagaland as deeply as he did. So, who exactly was Z Phizo? And how did one man leave such a lasting mark on the history of the Nagas? To answer that, we first need to travel back to the beginning. The year was 1913. In the village of Konoma, a boy was born. His full name was Angami Zapu Phizo. If the name Konoma sounds familiar, it should. Only a few decades earlier, the same village had fiercely resisted the British during one of the most famous conflicts in Naga history. By the time Phizo was born, the fighting had ended, but the memories had not. Around evening fires, village elders still spoke about courage, about sacrifice, about defending their land and way of life. Whether these stories directly shaped Phizo's later beliefs is impossible to know. But historians agree that he grew up in a community where memories of resistance were still very much alive. Like many children in the Naga Hills, he spent his early years surrounded by traditions, village life, and stories passed down from one generation to another. No one could have imagined that this quiet boy would one day become one of the most recognized Naga leaders in history. As Phizo grew older, his world became much bigger than Konoma. He traveled outside the Naga Hills. He worked in different places. He met people from different cultures. For someone raised in the hills, these journeys offered something priceless. A wider view of the world. He saw different governments, different societies, different political ideas, and perhaps most importantly, he realized that the world around him was changing rapidly. Then history itself began moving at incredible speed. By the 1940s, the British Empire was weakening. After ruling India for nearly 2 centuries, its time was coming to an end. Across the country, people asked one enormous question: who would govern India after the British left? For millions of Indians, the answer was simple: an independent India. But in the Naga Hills, the question was far more complicated. Many Nagas believed their history, customs, languages, and traditional way of life were distinct from those of the rest of British India. As a result, different ideas began to emerge about what the future should look like. Some believed cooperation was the best path. Others wanted greater political autonomy. Still others argued for complete self-determination. These debates would shape the decades that followed, and standing near the center of those discussions was Z Phizo. Around this time, another organization was steadily gaining importance: the Naga National Council, or simply, the NNC. It grew from the political awareness that had begun years earlier with the Naga Club and gradually became a platform where Naga leaders discussed their political future. Its goal was to represent Naga aspirations during one of the biggest political transitions in South Asian history. Phizo quickly became one of its strongest voices. He was not famous because he wore a uniform. He was not powerful because he commanded an army. His greatest strength was persuasion. He spoke with confidence. He inspired people. He had the rare ability to make others believe that their future could be different. Supporters admired his determination. Critics believed his ideas would lead to prolonged conflict. Either way, people listened whenever he spoke. In June 1947, the Naga National Council met Sir Akbar Hydari, the governor of Assam. Together they signed what became known as the 9-Point Agreement, often called the Hydari Agreement. At first, many believed this agreement might peacefully define the future relationship between the Nagas and the soon-to-be independent India. But one sentence changed everything. A clause concerning what would happen after 10 years was interpreted differently by each side. Many Naga leaders believed it allowed them to decide their future after that period. The government of Assam interpreted the same words differently. The sentence itself was short. Its consequences were enormous. That disagreement would become one of the most debated political issues in modern Naga history. Then came August 15, 1947. India became independent. Across the country, people celebrated. Flags were raised. Crowds gathered. A new nation was born. But in the Naga Hills, many political questions remained unanswered. What would happen next? Who would decide the future? And what relationship would exist between the Nagas and independent India? These questions became more urgent with every passing year. Phizo became increasingly convinced that the Nagas should determine their own political future. His speeches attracted many supporters. At the same time, others believed different paths would better protect the interests of the Naga people. History is rarely divided into heroes and villains. More often, it is shaped by people who sincerely believe different futures are possible. That is one reason why Phizo remains such a debated figure today. In 1951, the Naga National Council organized what it described as a plebiscite to demonstrate support for Naga independence. According to the organizers, an overwhelming majority supported independence. However, the government of India did not recognize the plebiscite, and historians continue to discuss its significance and methodology. Even today, it remains one of the most debated events in Naga political history. As tensions increased, the political movement also changed. By the early 1950s, Phizo had become the most recognized face of the Naga National Council. His leadership transformed it from a political organization into a movement that would shape events for decades. Some of those decisions inspired hope among supporters. Others contributed to years of conflict and suffering. Their impact can still be felt today. As the situation became increasingly difficult, Phizo eventually left India. After traveling through different countries, he settled in London, where he continued advocating for the Naga cause for many years. Even though he lived thousands of kilometers away, his influence remained strong among many supporters back home. A statement widely attributed to Z Phizo reflects a warning often associated with his political thinking. Nagas will never surrender on the battlefield, but many Nagas will fall when money is shot through the barrel of a gun. Whether remembered as an exact quotation or as a saying closely associated with him, it expresses a concern often linked to Phizo, that internal division and corruption could become greater threats than military force. Z Phizo died in 1990, but his story did not end there. His ideas, his decisions, and his legacy continue to shape discussions about Naga history even today. To some, he symbolized self-determination. To others, he represented a path that led to decades of conflict. History continues to examine both perspectives. But one fact is difficult to deny. It is almost impossible to understand modern Naga history without understanding Z Phizo, because whether people agree with him or disagree with him, his life changed the political journey of the Nagas forever. But another question still remains. What exactly was the Naga National Council? Who were its leaders? How did it become the center of Naga politics? And why did it become one of the most influential organizations in modern Naga history? That is the story we'll uncover in the next episode.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.